हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। जय श्री प्रभुपाद।
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु। हिमांशु देव, जय श्री प्रभुपाद।
जय श्री कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम ईश्वर राम जी, हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
इंडिया माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम, हरे कृष्ण। When did you all come back to
प्रभु जी,
India?
दंडवत प्रणाम।
नरेंद्र प्रभु, दंडवत प्रणाम, हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
श्री लता माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम, हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
राधा भावनी देवी, दंडवत प्रणाम, हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम, अनंतगिरी प्रभु, हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रणाम। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद।
दंडवत प्रणाम माता जी, हरे कृष्ण। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्ते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Okay, chapter 10 is called the opulence of the absolute. Connection between chapter 9 chapter 10. We saw the last verse of 9th chapter is Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. Always remember me, become my devotee, offer obeisances unto me. Always remember me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer obeisances unto me. Therefore, chapter 10 describes the Lord's opulence on which a devotee can fix his mind. So, Madmana means Krishna says, always remember me. In this chapter, Krishna says, how can one always remember me? Chapter 10 will further increase our devotion by hearing more about Krishna's glories. This chapter is also called Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti means opulence. Krishna will describe his opulences. This is a breakdown of the chapter. First 7 verses, understanding Krishna's unknowability, one serves him. The Chaturshloki Gita, this is kind of the most important part of this chapter. Then Arjuna accepts Krishna's position and requests to hear more. And then at the end, Krishna describes some of his opulences. Krishna opulences are also important to remember. Understanding Krishna's unknowability one serves him. It begins with, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. So again, because you're my dear friend, we saw it is similar to beginning of 9th chapter is also Krishna says, because you're not envious of me, I'm giving you this most confidential knowledge. Most confidential knowledge we saw at the end speaks about the Bhakti principle. We saw the most confidential part is the 9 forms of devotional service and how Krishna reciprocates. Then Krishna tells us in the previous chapter at the end, Yat karos yad ast adnasi patram pushpam phalam toyam. Anything you have, um, fruit, flower, leaf, offer it to me. Whatever you do in my offering, whatever you eat, whatever you give away, anything you do, keep it centered around me. So that principle of bhakti is the most confidential knowledge. We saw confidential, more confidential, we are part and parcel of Krishna, more confidential, most confidential, how the soul should serve Krishna. Always remember Krishna. Do everything for the sake of Krishna. Anything offered to Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. If apichit suduracharo bhajante mam ananya bhag. Some mistakes happen, temporary fall down happen. Prabhupada says Maya is very strong. Krishna will correct. You keep your life dedicated to serving Krishna, and Krishna will take care of every ups and downs that will come. Very compassionate. Just keep serving Krishna. That's why that is, and always remember Krishna. So this section of the 9th chapter makes it most confidential knowledge. This is, Krishna says, this is further, this is even better than what I've already explained, because now Krishna is going to describe who he is, what his opulences are. Ultimately, if we know the person we discussed last week also, in the 7th chapter we saw, it's easy to love somebody or be attracted to somebody whom we know. And because Krishna is going to tell about himself, this knowledge is even better. And once we know Krishna's glories, then we can always remember Krishna in so many ways. Okay, giving knowledge that is better because it is about glorifying Krishna. It is for your benefit. Generally, people in this material world, they want to glorify themselves. It's called ahankar upasana, which is worshipping one's own ahankar. But Krishna is, usually people glorify themselves because they want to be benefited by receiving somebody else's praise. My Guru Maharaj says usually people become envious of us when we glorify ourselves. But here Krishna is telling, I am speaking my own glories for your benefit. This is very important. Anybody who hears the glories of Krishna become attracted to Krishna, it's their benefit. They will escape the cycle of birth and death and go back to him. Then why it's better? In chapter 7, the Lord explained his different energies and how they are acting. We saw earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego separated. The living entities are his superior energy, different energies. In 9th chapter, Lord establishes different energies to establish devotion and firm conviction. And yeah, Krishna spoke about how Krishna is inconceivable, how Krishna is a creator. Some of his opulences he spoke. In this chapter, he covers all the remaining. Everything else is anything that exists, anything glorious, anything beautiful, any power, anything that exists, it's me only. So further, it expands on that. Then benefits of hearing more. Prabhupada says the more we hear, we become fixed in devotional service. And by hearing more, our devotional service enhances. These are the two benefits Prabhupada says. And we also see people who are fixed in hearing process. Hearing includes reading on daily basis and hearing on daily basis. People who are fixed in that, people who are steady in that become fixed in devotional service and they keep advancing. Eagerness to hear as a qualification, discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. This is Prabhupada says in the purport. Arjuna expresses earlier that he is very eager to hear, and that's why Krishna is speaking. Okay. And Prabhupada says, those who want to make advancement, those who are eager to hear, the message of Lord Krishna becomes very potent. And if you're not eager to hear, then my spiritual master says, the speaker will also not be empowered to the speaker will not be empowered to speak because the listeners may not have eagerness to hear. Then none of them, neither the speaker nor the listener, will be nourished, and it will become more like a ritual, speaking and discussing about Krishna. But when there is eagerness, on the part of speaker to glorify the Lord, when there is eagerness on the part of the listener to hear, then the message is most potent. We see the example of Sukadeva Goswami very eager to speak, Parikshit Maharaj very eager to hear, Krishna very eager to enlighten Arjuna, help Arjuna, Arjuna very eager to hear. So most potent when the first canto describes when the listener and the speaker are both relatively ripe. Then this was something from the purport from the first verse. Krishna, the next verses presents Krishna as the mysterious origin of everything. Krishna says, I am the source of demigods and the sages. None of them know my original opulences. Only fully surrendered devotees can understand him by his grace. We saw Brahma also doesn't know his origin. But when he surrendered, when he performed the requisite austerities, he could understand Krishna. So the source of everything is Krishna. But only fully surrendered devotees can understand him by his grace. We see even in this world, everybody is part and parcel of Krishna, but only devotees know to the extent they have surrendered to Krishna. To that extent, they know this fact. Krishna says, bewildered cannot understand me as unborn, beginningless, and supreme Lord of all the worlds. Those who are illusioned by material energy don't know Krishna. Then, result of understanding Krishna properly, Krishna says, those who know this truth about me, that I am unborn, beginningless, and the supreme Lord of everyone, of all the worlds, those who know this truth about me, they become free from all sinful reactions just by knowing Krishna is the source of everything. But Krishna says generally people are bewildered. Then Krishna describes how all the qualities come from him. First he says the demigods comes from him, the sages comes from him. First he says, listen because you're my very dear friend. Listen to my opulences that are even better than what I've already explained earlier. 9th chapter, he explained how everything is in him, yet he's not in them. He's separate. He's the source of everything. Everything rests upon him like wind rests under the sky. So general top view Krishna gave. And now all the bottom details also Krishna will give. So here more